on it. It's just grinding higher at this point. We'll see if we get another shot. There's another higher level. And then crude made a couple ticks in this trade. Kind of made a nice double bottom. But the way it was trading, it just because it took out that 88. So we'll see if we have another trigger. Hold on. All right, so I'm back. Let's see. S&P daily. We're trying to get back up to that all-time high. 4 hours still. Can't even sell off to these medium levels, so still pretty darn bullish. Definitely extended though here. Same with the NASDAQ. Let's look at crude daily. Kind of hanging out. 4 hour. There's a lot of overhead here, so we'll see. Overhead is where prior buyers came in. So if you bought here and you held, you were down and then you were back break even, and you were down and then you were up a little bit and then you're down, you're like, forget it, I'm out. So whenever the rallies come, that's what you'll get, overhead supply. 1 hour looks pretty extended. Mm, 15-minute undervalued and 5-minute under, so we'll see if it goes and makes a new low or holds. We'll get a second trigger possibly. See if usually when you have this a bigger move and it sits and then prints a new high, a lot of time that's washing out stops. So we'll see how this can make a new high or not. And we'll see with oil if oil can make a test of the low and hold or make a new low. All right. Go through the spread charts. There was news this morning. One of the economic advisors to the prime minister in Japan said that the yen is overvalued. That's why you'll see it dropped. I think it dropped 80 pips in 2 minutes. Most of it in 1 minute. So he said it's expensive at 120. It should be at 105. That's interesting because they never say anything without kind of having it cleared by the higher ups, as they say. So we'll see what that means for the yen. If the market doesn't listen, they'll probably, if they're really serious about it, they'll come out again, and then usually most traders kind of get the picture and could mean that they're starting to get uncomfortable with where the dollar is. Where's my dollar? See, crude has still been strong versus the dollar. But this is the dollar chart daily. So you could see we were breaking out today to a new recent high. Put in perspective, the dollar's been getting beat up for about last 12, 13, 14 years. So that's the highest it's been in that long. You'll see it more in just a weekly chart. See if they do a monthly. Yeah, they're monthly. Carry trade has kind of lost its connection. Let's see who's trading. We'll see if Crew can do it a second time here. Definitely seems heavier. This hour chart is kind of concerning. The midpoint's way down here, so looks like I can go to 50 half. That's pretty much the midpoint for here, and it's the 4-hour bottom band. But it's definitely undervalued right here on the short term. Try to see if this hold on the double bottom. People are asking when I open the charts. I did open them up early. I guess you guys just couldn't see them. I'll have to make sure I check every time. I thought I reset the GoToWebinar, so it should have worked right away. Well, we finally got a lower low in the NASDAQ. Not yet in the S&P. We'll see if we can get the 9. What you'll see on charts is, I'm trying to find a good example. This could be actually a good example where, from a technical pattern, it's sometimes just as simple as you have a move and then a retracement, and then typically you wouldn't want to retrace more than 50%. When it broke down to here and tested back to the high, you start to add up a lot of different more bearish pieces of information. This is too deep of a correction. This is the failed new high breakout high. This is a lower low. This, if it was bullish, should have went to the center band on that, from bottom band to center band. I mean, it still might, but just this price action in itself is saying it's weaker and weaker. Now, the reason why I go with higher time frames, it's not just random that it's running into trouble there. We're pretty extended on a 1 hour statistically. So this is where you have to start saying, what's the odds of this trade working out? This long is less bullish than, let's just say, this one, or even here, because you've collected these more bearish pieces of data and your positioning. Much easier to make a move from a lower position than from here. So you got a buy signal under a 5-minute band, probably in this bar, and you had a much better chance of making profits on that trade compared to here. Let's go look at the just pretty extended here. Let's see if this breaks down. Just kind of major support here. So 1 minute, let's go up. 5 minute, 15. See. Let's go to look at crude. Doesn't look so hot in the 1 hour. a little bit undervalued or right at that level. $97. Just trying to bottom here, but once again, from a relative strength and a price action, it's kind of neutral, but because the low did hold, but the fact that it went all the way back down and pretty much tested the low, we'll see how that pans out. Get this chart all set to get set up. We can go and show on the ladder about the market profile, which we talked about, I think that was Friday, where it was, I think I said it was theoretically supposed to go to 11 on the, I think it was 44.11, and it did on the NASDAQ. We'll take a look at crude. You've got the tail. You've got, it's hard to see because the volume gets kind of smashed here, but you could see there's thousands of contracts here versus 100 or 200 or 2. So the tail looks like it's pretty much from, we'll just start from here, 90 to 50, so 40 cents. Kind of already made its tail if you go 50 cents off the high, which would be 60. Basically, it's put the day in already on crude. According to market profile. Yeah, you can see crude now. Just made a new low. Once it starts doing those kind of trades, you got to really be patient from a buyer's perspective now. Be pretty patient. This is where turns in the market. If this is a turn that's happening, it starts in the shorter time frame. So 4 hour, we're still bullish. 1 hour, you could start to see it starting to turn down. 15 is bullish and we're undervalued. 5 minute, we're actually now sloping down. So down, up, down, up. I'm talking about the gold bands. Whenever it's oscillating back and forth like that, it's going to be probably choppy. Also could point to a change in trend. I think crude's gotten ahead of itself. It's definitely been bullish on the chart and price action, but you throw in the production from Iran that's going to come online, and you look at the all the different things that put together for it. It's definitely seems the fundamentals are more bearish. We'll see if we can get a buy coming in at the gold bands. Usually when crude breaks down like that, you get a massive down move. Not seeing it yet. Just gotta be patient. I think once the selling's done in the S&P and NASDAQ, that get back to its business of going higher every day. Kind of same thing though. It's extended 15-minute. Not that extended on the 1 hour. 4 hours fine. So here's the difference between this and crude. Gold bands up, down, up, up. And actually I put more weight on the higher time frame. So the 2 higher, 4 hour, 1 hour up, 15's down, 5 up. So love to buy it at 95. Yeah, some of the price action on the indices are looking to try and make a reversal. Like if this were to close here on the 1 hour, that's definitely showing signs of tiredness for the rally. You could see it was from 40. You could see on crude made a top and broke down and kept, and within a few bars kept breaking down, where the Nasdaq kind of was grinding higher, barely took out that recent low, and then now it's hanging out here. So it's pretty it's pretty bullish. Yeah, it looks like it retraced the majority. Let me know if anyone has questions. Oh, people are asking about the crude oil. I think it's a wash. I actually don't think it's going to drop that much. They've already put the investment in there, and they've floated all these different bonds, so they're going to keep. And realistically, there's only 2 or 3. The usefulness of those wells is only 2 or 3 years. So I still think, yes, there's been a drop in rig count. Yes, there's going to be new rigs coming online. That amount will be dropping, but the stuff that they've already did, and then they typically, obviously for weather reasons, slow down up in North Dakota, but the once the spring comes, they're going to go back, and whatever they've leased the land, they paid for it already. They're going to drill those holes. I think the Iranian oil has already been finding a market somewhere. People that didn't buy in with the sanctions or whatever, so it's not like they stopped producing. Really, though, it's the ebb and flow with crude oil. There still is fundamentals involved in there, so somewhat. So the prices come down, demand has been worldwide picking up a little bit or staying flat, and then looking at the once the supplies in our next 2 years are reduced in North Dakota, then there'll be pretty much deficit, because most of the rest of the world, except for the U.S. and Canada, has dropped in production over the last 5-6 years. Actually, longer than that. Some of them 10 years. 05 was the top on most of them. Top production. And then you throw in there a lot of these Middle Eastern countries. They're booming economically, so their consumption internally has reduced their net exports, and that's the key. So they produce 10 million barrels a day, and they used to use 500,000 or 1 million, and now they use 5 million a day. They only have 5 million in exports versus 9 a few years ago. If they have any more consumption increase in the next few years, they'll have no exports. See if crude 85. Logical spots for let's see the Nasdaq to bounce. Crude's definitely trying to hang in there. Let's go back and maybe we can compare different. So the Nasdaq was gold band up, up, flatten up, and then oil was up, down, up, down. We could look at the euro. Got to go out flat, down, down, up. So either flat to down on 3 of the 4. So if this is turning, this is kind of how the pattern can set up pretty easily if it can break above here. But definitely buying the euro is a higher risk trade at this point. Off these bounces now, there's definitely a shot down here. But we'll see. I think seems to be trying to bottom. Actually, I'll go. You look at the 1 hour. I'm sorry, that's oil. It's like that's the wrong chart. Made a low and then it's bounced back pretty quickly. Somewhat of a quiet Monday. Been like that lately though, so gotta pick our spots. Would like to see this come in one more level lower. So a lot of times too, when you the way I do it is I try and quantify and put a confidence level on different trade signals in different trade areas. So that's why you have to put things into perspective. You could say, well, if you take a trading system, I'm going to take you wouldn't necessarily want to equally value your trade size or your profit or stop target. Here's a buy signal at 10. Here's another buy signal at 30. So I would say that this has less probability of working, or less profit target, I would say, more than anything. Usually when there's a decent move like that, these actually fail. Get that spike and the gentle sell off. A little less gentle sell off. These are all those wiki days. Like this day here. Not sure if that was one of the Fed days, but we'll see if crude makes a new low and drags the S&P lower. We're gonna have to send out another guy tonight in Japan to talk the yen down. Retrace it all the way back. I think this level changed, so we can. It's quite the comeback on the yen. We'll see if this can go to a new high. I'm trying to find a case of a flag. Flag is when the price action, you get a move and then it holds within the top like 25% of the move. So in here, and then you get the breakout. This can mark time. Granted, that's an hourly chart, so we'll see, but I'd like to see a sell-off down to here and then another buy signal. Probably have to wait for that. About an hour or two. What you'll start to see is there's certain patterns that set up, although they change in actual look and feel, they're still the general structure. A flag in 1999 on a NASDAQ chart would be, it would spike up and it would be more like this. It would actually have the high would be the top and the low, it would literally look like a square flag. And that's because traders were in there, and the guys that want to short would short it right at that high, and the guys that want to long would be buying right near that low. So it really set up a really good clean flag. And then when it broke out, it pretty much always, if it formed that, it would break out. So when it broke out, it was a decent move. Nowadays, the typical thing is break to the high and break down. So you could see the different chart patterns and how you can still profit on that. You could have, as this made this flag, you could have bought on dips. If you look at here, like 33. And then when it broke out, you sell it. So, I don't know, 39, there's your 5. But it's not going to 50. So that's how you just have to, if you're going to play a certain pattern or structure, you have to change with the market. Kind of the same thing with crude. Although crude's still doing its thing, but it's less. Before, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, it frequently did that spike up and spike down, make a new low. Not necessarily a megaphone like here, that's a higher high and a lower low, but definitely got spiky. There's more churn. So this is kind of the first more bullish trend we've had in a while. But you could see that the momentum is waning. Unless it takes out that high and stays in that higher range. I think it has to hold here at 61. Nasdaq and S&P kind of printed that little low there and held, so definitely strong buyers in there. You can see it more on a 1 minute. Yeah, try and take out a low and then away we go. We didn't get a clear entry signal. Crude is pretty quiet today. Guess they're waiting for the new numbers again. Tomorrow's the API, and then Wednesday the inventory numbers. So this morning this thing was just ripping 10 points at a handle, and now it's gone up 2.5 points. So that's where you could start to feel and actually literally see it on the chart, the waning momentum of it. Uh, yeah, I believe Iran was selling a lot to China. Oil. I'm just looking at the comments. The reason why I want to see the Nasdaq come down to a lower level is that you it's kind of, you got to look at it this way. This was a opportunity, and if you miss that opportunity, you're kind of thinking, okay, what's the next, not the same percentage chance of working out, but what's a better shot? So to me, you look at a stair step type pattern like this, we're probably in this type of period. Granted, that's aftermarket, so the odds that we kind of pull back and drift sideways, you'd kind of want it to be statistically. I would prefer right now, because it's moved up so high, that I'd like to get a buy below the gold band or at it. I mean, even the current one's only up 2 points. So it's just a kind of a statistical probability thing that I would like to see it come from a better area. If you took that long, you're up a point or two, and you're kind of getting to the slower time of the day with lunchtime and whatever in New York. It's 11:20 right now. But still, it's a lower percentage shot, but it's still a valid trade. I'm just picky, I guess, too. That's why when you look at systems and trades and things like that, there's a lot of different ways to interpret it. It's really like artwork. Um, let's go back to the. You can see how these used to go tick for tick with each other, like in here. Now they're wide and then come back together. They're almost going inverted, which is actually how it used to be prior to the '08 crash. And then especially once they decided that in Japan they wanted their strategy was to be way more aggressive than we are or were with their quantitative printing, we'll call it. Let's go and look at. Some of you guys are asking about the 5 minute with what Andrew was showing you guys out in Sacramento. You could see that when there's bigger moves, It's obviously a better time to be employing that strategy when it's quiet. It's a Sunday night, so it's given. It's definitely looking better on these higher time frames. Crude. The fact it's not doing this kind of broken pattern, rally and then really break down. That's showing some resilience. We'll go through stocks real quick. Here's a good view of the market profile. So the majority of the volume here, got the tail from, let's just say 96 to 89, so 7 points. It's going to do a statistical bell curve. Should go to 08. Seems a little high, but maybe we'll go 07. So you could see how that got to step back. It does seem to be setting up from a market profile standpoint. I'm sure this afternoon price action I want to see for a top if it went and failed a high and then broke down, broke below this low. Let's span that out. It's always good to go and take a look at different structures and how the market does what it does. Typically at the end of a trend, you start to get multiple highs, bigger, deeper corrections. We've got very shallow corrections so far. I mean, correction like that, and then obviously this was the end of the up move from here to here. Retrace it all the way. That's a 4 hour. That's the last month or so, half month. S&P is 97. I've got a 2095 close based on the statistics of it. Probably be even higher. This price action is getting better. So it didn't make that lower low. It has second time to test it and didn't. So if it breaks out above here, should follow that channel the rest of the day up. could leave up the range. It's kind of my buy range area. May not get to it though. Obviously, it's already hanging in there. But if it got below that band, kind of in that area. And crude, I don't know. Seems like it wants to go lower. Might even drag the S&P down. This rally is even for the Nasdaq lately. It's similar to this rally here, so better take out that high or else I think it's going back down to the gold band. That's daily chart, so take a day or two for that to break down and roll over. All right, we'll see you guys on the wrap-up call. Right now we're flat, and we'll see what trades come up. I'm looking for a pullback probably in this area, and then we can get some buy signals. Crude, I'm not as bullish. We'll see where we can get a shot on crude again. All right, have a good one. Thanks.